Welcome to our financial aid presentation for seniors and their parents. I'm Susan McKenzie and I work with students whose last names begin with A through K.
Hi, I'm Dan Kealy and I work with all seniors whose last names are L through Z. This presentation will be roughly 30 minutes in length and we appreciate you taking the time to watch. All right, so in this presentation we are going to cover the residency determination service, types of financial aid, filing the FAFSA form itself, then local and regional scholarship opportunities, and then we're going to end the night by discussing financial aid award letters, which is how the process of applying for financial aid concludes.
Information we discuss in this video will be generalized, and we encourage any student or parent who wishes to discuss their unique circumstances to reach out to us at school. Our contact information will be on screen at the end of the presentation. Also, this video and our traditional slide presentation that we do are housed under the presentations tab of our website, which can be found at hhsguidance.com.
All right, so we're going to get the evening started by discussing the residency determination service. The residency determination service must be completed for North Carolina students to qualify for in-state tuition at our public universities and or to qualify for further state assistance at public or private schools. This is a free service. I'm going to go ahead and click over so you guys get to see what it looks like. This is a free service for students. Wait for a sec for it to open. Here is what the homepage looks like. This service will require you to submit some identifying information such as parents and students' driver's licenses, car registration, social security numbers, and some tax information. Once it has been completed, you will have an RDS number that you can put into any of your college applications, your North Carolina schools. Unfortunately, North Carolina schools will allow you to submit applications without the residency number, and that can lead to glitches when it comes to your financial aid award letters. It'll look like you're an out-of-state student. So we recommend that students do this first prior to doing applications and then plug it in. I will show you how to link to this from our website when we review the website later on as well. All right, so let's get back to the presentation. I'm going to discuss a little bit types of financial aid now. So financial aid is any assistance for paying for college that is coming from a source other than a parent or the families themselves, all right? So Ms. McKenzie is going to follow up and discuss the free application for federal student aid. That is where you will find the application to access lots of the need-based grant. But we do also want to make you aware that some students will have to complete the CSS profile. This is what the profile looks like. What this is schools anywhere that are giving away more of their institutional money than they are the federal government's money due to the size of their endowments, they have a right to ask for the CSS profile on top of the FAFSA form. So I'm going to open up the participating school list where you can see that. In the state of North Carolina, the schools that do require the CSS profile are UNC Chapel Hill, Elon University, Duke University, Davidson University, and Wake Forest as well. So those are the schools that will require you to submit that. Essentially what they're looking for is if the family is separated, they want to know the mother or the father's information, even if that's not who the student is living with. All right. Sorry, that went forward there. Okay, back on this screen. There's also merit-based aid. So in the fall, this is going to be students who have unique abilities or high academic performance. So largely, this is something you're going to want to be checking with the institutions you are applying to. Very often, schools utilize the early application or early decision window to kick information back to students who are going to qualify for assistance based on their performance, but it's not consistent across the board. So if there's any confusion about is there something out there you could apply for, just contact your institution. Lastly, there are outside scholarships. This is going to be a mix of merit and need-based. I will discuss this later in the presentation when we talk about our senior bulletins. That's what we utilize to get information out to students. All right, I'm going to turn it over now to Ms. McKenzie, who is going to discuss the FAFSA form, the free application for federal student aid.
All right, so the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid, and it is how you apply for financial aid for college. If you want to complete the FAFSA on a mobile device, you'll see here we have links to iPhone apps and Android apps. I was leery of using an app to complete the FAFSA. That seemed counterintuitive to me, but I ended up having to do it on my phone last year, and it actually was very simple and user-friendly. So if you need to do it on a mobile device, don't be afraid of it. They've set up a nice system for that. We're going to, no, we're not. The FAFSA opens up on October 1st and must be completed each year to qualify for financial aid for the following year. So you fill it out using tax information from the previous year, which is confusing, but for the next year's financial aid, you're going to be using your 2019 tax information. Every student who's planning to go to a 2-year or a 4-year college or university should complete the FAFSA. There's no income cutoff, so don't, sometimes people will say, oh, I won't qualify for any money. You never know. Lots of people qualify for money, and it's an opportunity to get thousands of dollars in financial aid. If you even want merit-based scholarships at schools, you have to complete the FAFSA. And then additionally, outside scholarships often ask for your FAFSA information. All right, so we're going to click in and take a look at the form real quick. All right, so when you go to complete the FAFSA, if it's your first time doing it, you're going to go right there. All right, and you'll see here it's asking whether you're the student or the parent. They are going from the perspective of the student, but both the student and the parent do have to, or one parent has to provide information for the FAFSA. We're going to act like we're the student. We're going to click that, and you'll see here they're asking for your FSA ID. If your parent has done a FAFSA or applied for financial aid for themselves, perhaps, they will already have an FSA ID and don't need to apply for a new one. If they don't, they'll need to complete this step also. But the FSA ID is your federal student aid ID, and that is how you sign your form. That is also how you sign promissory notes for student loans. Lots of things can use this. Basically what it's doing is it's tying your email address or cell phone number to your Social Security number. And again, that is how you will sign your FAFSA. And it does take up to 3 days for it to become active, so I would suggest you go ahead and create this FSA ID ahead of when you plan to complete the FAFSA. All right, so even though most people do file their FAFSA electronically, there is a paper copy of the form if you do need to do it by hand or need to mail things in, that's fine, although most people do, again, complete it electronically. I think the nice thing about having access to this form is that you can scroll through and see what kinds of information you're going to need and the types of questions they ask. One thing to keep in mind, again, this is coming from a student's perspective, so when they say your full name, your last name, your parent, everything is coming from the student's perspective. So just make sure when you're answering the questions, you understand which section you're in. So if it's asking for student information, you want to put your student's information. That seems obvious, but it's easy to get confused. All right, when you do the electronic form, I'm just scrolling through here so you can see there's a lot of things they ask for. But when you do the electronic form, there is skip logic in there, so you won't be asked questions that don't apply to you. And also in the electronic form, there's something called a data retrieval tool, which will allow you to import your tax information, and so you're not having to put that all in by hand. That'll save a lot of time. Also, one of the questions they ask you is to which colleges do you want this information sent. Be sure to put all of the colleges in there that you're applying to. I think sometimes people are concerned that that maybe colleges will be able to see the other schools you're applying to, and they do not have access to that information. So if you want to be able to receive a financial aid offer from a school, you need to make sure you have included their information in the FAFSA. And then I guess the last little thing about this form is that federal monies don't run out, but state money can. So Mr. Kealy and I like to suggest that you try to file your FAFSA by December 1st. Obviously, you can file it much later than that, but we just want you to have access to as much money as possible. Okay, so the EFC, the expected family contribution, is sort of what we're trying to get to with the FAFSA. And it's not actually the amount of money that colleges expect you to pay, but they use that number to calculate how much financial aid you qualify for. It's really more of a measure of your family's financial strength. In general, the lower your EFC, the more money you will qualify for. It takes into account your family's taxed and untaxed income, assets, and benefits such as unemployment, disability, and Social Security. So all of that is considered in the formula that colleges use then to calculate your financial aid. So verification, that is something that it's not difficult to deal with, but sometimes your FAFSA will get flagged for verification, and that just means that colleges are going to ask for additional information. Historically, about a third of students were flagged for verification. For whatever reason, in the last couple of years, that number has gone up. So if you get flagged, don't feel bad. It's happened. It happened to me a couple of times with my kids. So just make sure you're staying on top of any communication that is coming out from the university or college where they're asking for additional information. Let's see. Typically, the documentation they're going to ask for in addition to your FAFSA is tax transcripts for you and your child. If your child filed taxes, a dependent verification worksheet, maybe copies of W-2s. It's nothing that's going to be difficult to get. You just have to make sure you know that that's what they're asking for. We try to encourage students to be really diligent about checking their email communications from the colleges. They oftentimes, when you're accepted, they will require you to create an account on the university's website. They might be pushing that information out that way. So just make sure that you're staying on top of any communication so that you can gather this information together. And again, it's not hard to get, but it does take a little bit of time to put together. Special circumstances. Since the FAFSA is based on last year's tax information, the 2019 taxes, your financial situation and your family could have changed. Somebody might have lost a job, or COVID may have impacted your family in some way. So if you feel like the FAFSA isn't really representing, or maybe your EFC isn't representing what your family is capable of paying right now, I would suggest you communicate with the financial aid offices at the specific colleges and explain what's going on, and they can take that into consideration when putting your package together. If you're applying to a school that requires the CSS profile, there is a section on there where you are allowed to explain special circumstances, so make sure you take advantage of that opportunity. And then finally on this slide, CFNC, which is the College Foundation of North Carolina, has put together a page that has, well, let's see, a lot of really good resources to help you fill out your FAFSA. But one that we want to point out is this personal assistance opportunity. So you can actually register here and make an appointment with a financial aid specialist who can then answer your specific questions about completing the FAFSA. Also, Mr. Kealy and I are happy to help too. We've done that with a number of students over the years, where you come in and we just sit down and all do your FAFSA together.
All right, so I'm going to review some of the financial options that come about once you have filled out your FAFSA form. So I'm going to discuss some of the federal and state grant programs as well as loans. And the FAFSA form is your application for what I'm going to discuss here. So the institutions you apply to will give you access. We'll be able to, in your award packages, you will see what you can access via the FAFSA form. All right. So I'm going to click over to this federal website, which lists the grant programs that do exist. So grants from the federal government, that is money that you will not have to pay back. That's not loan money. So the federal Pell Grant is really the biggest and the best loan program out there. All right, so we are going to jump over to this grant awards. This is just a something simple we've created so that you can see the amount of money that the FAFSA may make you eligible for. So Pell Grants will range from $600 to $6,300 you see there. You can also see what the Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant ranges in. And also your FAFSA form will qualify you potentially for work study. So that is going to be determined by the school you attend, and the amount will vary. The state of North Carolina also has grants. So there is a UNC need-based grant. That's for the UNC public system. There is a North Carolina lottery grant. So students who are Pell eligible also will be eligible for the lottery grant. There's a community college-based grant, as well as an NC need-based scholarship. That is specific to only private schools in the state of North Carolina. So students who apply to private school are Pell eligible, can also then be packaged with these need-based grants. All right, the grants are going to be financial need-based. One way to try to have a sense of you will qualify is most of our students who are on free and reduced lunch will qualify with a 0 or low EFC. Your EFC has to be beneath $5,000 to be Pell eligible at all. So we do have attached on this presentation, and that's not it. Here it is. So this is the tab that will show you the free and reduced lunch form. And so you can see through here, depending on the size of the family, the income level you'll need to qualify for that. So that's why we attached it. All right, I did not mean to do that. So let's try to back up. Okay. Now, I also am going to discuss loans. So your free application for federal student aid, that form will also qualify people for loans. That is much more familiar territory, unfortunately, for many families. The average debt load in 2019 for a college graduate, which is the most recent statistics we can get, is roughly $30,000. So that is an average loan amount, unfortunately. We do have this loan calculator here, and I would like to show you how what that might translate into in terms of payments per month for a student. So we're going to wait for this to pull up. All right, so now that it's up, I am not good with this scrolling. Okay, here we go. All right, so I can load in the $30,000 here. I'm also going to put an interest rate of 7%. That's higher than the interest rates for the loans that'll come through the federal government. So this is sort of going to be a conservative amount we're putting in here. And then most of the student loans will range for 10 years. So let me put that in here. And then go ahead and hit calculate. And what you're going to see is that's roughly going to be about $350 a month is going to come out of someone's paycheck to pay down their loans. All right, try to show you that just so that's still scary and not fun, but it's less scary than just a $30,000 figure. All right, so I'm going to move away from some of that depressing topics, and we're going to start talking about something that's less depressing, which is our website. So we're going to pull that up. And this is the HHS guidance website that was referred to earlier. The homepage here, you can see our contact information, as well as ways for students to contact us to have an appointment. We also have senior email lists right here. So if you're not already in there, you can click this and then sign on, and you will get notification about scholarship opportunities and information we're sending out to seniors on a regular basis. I'm going to jump over to the senior page also and show you some things here. So earlier in the presentation, I discussed the fact that I'll show you where you can link to the residency determination form. So that's right here on the front of our senior page. And if I scroll this down a little bit, you're also seeing links here to the free application for federal student aid, which Ms. McKenzie reviewed. And now I'm going to show you guys the scholarship information page. So this is our senior bulletins. And again, we'll wait a sec. All right, so roughly a few times a month, we are posting information about scholarship opportunities. So the bulletin is going to tell students the deadline information, the criteria, and then what they have to do next. More and more, that is obviously going to websites and completing things digitally, but we have had 4 of these bulletins go out so far this school year. Some other things to show you here, we do have this senior tips link. So if I were to open that up, what that is with each bulletin we send out, we also discuss different topics about applying to school, getting testing, just information that's pertinent to seniors. So we leave that all here on our website. We also have here last year's bulletins. So if I click on that and open it up, parents and students are able to go ahead and look at this and scroll. If I knew how to scroll. So you can scroll down on this to different times in the year last year, and see what's available in October, November, December. So usually in October each year, the foundations, the local foundation information becomes available. So this information is roughly the same each year. So last year it was October 5th that the local Henderson County Education Foundation became available. So it should be similar this year. All right, let me get out of there. The last thing to show you on our website is we do have this presentation tab. So this is where tonight's presentation will ultimately be housed, as well as our Google Slide presentation. So if you go to the Google Slides, all of the links that we're jumping to tonight, they're going to be, you can access them through this Senior Financial Aid Night tab. All right, so Ms. McKenzie is going to wrap things up for us by talking about financial aid award letters.
All right, so the financial aid award letters should arrive mid-March. If you have not received, or your child hasn't received some sort of notification either in the mail or through their student account at the college, their award letter or information by April, you need to start looking to make sure you haven't missed a request for additional information. Perhaps you were flagged and didn't realize it. So make sure they're checking for any additional notifications if you have not gotten it by mid to late March or the beginning of April. We have a sample award letter here. Award letters are going to look slightly different from every institution, but this one is a pretty general one. All right, so this is a sample award letter. You can see that the financial aid offer is broken out by semester and then total for the year. Again, just like you fill out the FAFSA every year, you will have a different financial aid offer every year, and it will be based on your situation from the previous year. So in the loans section, you can see that the total amount of loans that you're being offered for the year here is about $7,500. And then scholarships and grants, that's money you don't have to pay back, is about $17,900. And then there's a work study offer down here for $1,500 a semester for a total of $3,000 a year. If you qualify for work study, and it's generally students with a lower EFC who do qualify for work studies, and you've indicated on your application that you're interested in having that, it will be included in your financial aid offer, but it functions a little differently than other financial aid money does in that it's not dispersed up front, and it can't be used to pay for tuition, books, fees, etc. With federal work study, often it's up to the student to go search out those work study jobs that are available on campus, and then they're paid for the jobs out of this work study money up to the amount that they're allocated for each semester. So I know when my daughter tried to do it, she had to make sure that the hours per week and the amount you were paid per hour worked out to the right amount for the semester, or you have to just let the people know that you're going to have to stop working for them before the end of the semester if the money's run out. So in this example, the college provided estimated cost of attendance, and that's going to be tuition and fees, room and board, books. Sometimes it includes, like in this example, travel if you are going to a school far away, or a computer purchase. So if the school did not provide you that information on your financial aid award letter, you can usually go to their website and find out what the estimated cost of attendance for the school is. And you're going to want to make sure you know that, because you're going to want to see what the estimated cost of attendance is, and then compare it to your aid and decide whether it's a good decision for you to go to that school. So in this example, the aid award letter was for $28,400. The estimated cost of attendance was $38,400, which leaves a gap of $10,000 between what they're giving you and what the cost is that you're either going to have to pay for out of pocket or find additional funds. Whether that means a Parent Plus loan, or you have relatives who will chip in, that's additional money that you're going to have to cover. And students have until May 1st to commit to a school. And what Mr. Kealy and I suggest is that you wait until you have all of your financial aid award letters, gather your estimated cost of attendance information together, and then compare and see how much it's really going to cost you. The loans will probably be similar at each school, but the scholarships and grants will probably differ. And so, you want to make an informed decision. College is expensive. And even with this example, with the loans being $7,500 a year, you're looking at close to that $30,000 average that Mr. Kealy talked about earlier. So this was just a brief overview of financial aid award letters. If you have any questions or specific situations you want to talk about, please reach out to me or Mr. Kealy. Thanks. Thank you for viewing this presentation. We hope you found it helpful.
And please reach out to us if you have any further questions. Take care.